Hello and welcome. In this lecture, I will overview the configuration steps required for L3Out deployment. Please note that I will demonstrate the steps later in the lab. Step 1 is a prerequisite, which is to configure an L3 domain and all required access policies for the L3Out interfaces. To configure the L3 domain, go to Fabric, Access Policies, Physical and External Domains, and then go to L3 Domains. Right-click and create L3 domain. In the Create L3 domain window, provide an L3 domain name. Mention the associated attachable entity profile, the AEP, and specify the VLAN pool. Please note that all L3Out interface types require the L3 domain and the AEP. However, only the SVI interfaces require the VLAN pool because SVI uses trunk links. So I mean by that, if you are going to use a routed interface or a routed sub-interface, you don't need to mention a VLAN pool here. But if you are going to use interface type SVI, then you have to specify the VLAN pool here, okay? After creating the L3 domain and associating it with the AEP and the VLAN pool, create interface selectors that must select all L3Out ports and associate them with the interface policy group, the IPG. And keep in mind that the interface policy group must use the AEP mentioned above. Also, the interface selectors must be defined by the interface profiles, which must be referenced by the leaf profiles of the border leaf nodes. So basically, all the access policies that I covered in the access policy section apply here, and we are going to review all that again in the lab. Step number 2, configure the MP-BGP route reflectors. As I mentioned in the route reflector lecture, this is also a prerequisite step that should be done on day 1. Let's review it again. To configure the BGP route reflector policy, go to System, System Settings, BGP route reflector, then provide the BGP autonomous system number, click plus sign to add the route reflector nodes or the spines. After that, we need to configure the pod policy group and apply it to the pod profile. To do that, go to Fabric, Fabric Policies, Pods, Policy Groups, then create a new pod policy group. Note that the BGP route reflector policy will always be selected, which is mentioned as default here. So if you don't select default, it will be selected by default. You cannot create more than one BGP route reflector policy in ACI, okay? Then we apply the pod policy group to the pod profile. To do that, go to Fabric, Fabric Policies, Pods, Profiles, Pod Profile Default. Then from the pod selector, use the previously created pod policy group. And that's it. Step number 3, create the L3Out object. From Tenants tab, go to your tenant name, in our case tenant 1 here, then Networking, L3Outs, right-click and create an L3Out. Note that the first 2 prerequisite steps are mentioned here, the BGP route reflector policy and the access policies. In the Create L3Out page, we have to provide an L3Out name, specify which VRF this L3Out belongs to, and associate the L3Out domain that we created in step 1, which is here L3 domain 1. Then we need to select the protocol that we are going to use in the L3Out. However, if we only want to use static routing, we can ignore the routing protocols and click Next. Also, please note that we can configure static routing along with any other routing protocol. Also, we can deploy only one routing protocol in the L3Out. Although technically we can enable BGP and OSPF at the same time under one L3Out, but that doesn't allow both protocols to advertise the same routes. In such case, the OSPF will only advertise the loopback and the directly connected interface subnets, as you can see in the warning message here. That helps in the recursive routing to deploy the BGP using loopback addresses, so please keep that in mind. As I mentioned here, if we select BGP, we can also select OSPF to advertise the loopback and the directly connected interface subnets. However, if I select EIGRP, I cannot select any other protocol. Note that here we determine the EIGRP autonomous system number, which is here 100. On the other hand, if I select OSPF, I can select the BGP option. As I mentioned, we specify the OSPF area ID number. The default is 1, We can use area 0 as well, or any other area number, but it has to match with the external router on the other end. Also, the OSPF area type has to be regular area if you want to select area 0, right? This is an OSPF requirement. Now here you can see we have an SSA area, regular area, or sub area. Select the area type from here. As you know, it has to match between the ACI and the external router. Also note that we have several OSPF area controls and area types. These details are related to the OSPF and SSA and area types, which I covered in depth in the Cisco Data Centers L2 and L3 Technologies course. In the ACI course, I expect you already know the OSPF protocol, okay? And the last thing is the OSPF area cost. This option sets an OSPF cost for a default route generated by the border leaf. Then we click Next. In step 4, we create the L3Out node and interface profiles. The L3Out configuration consists of node profiles and interface profiles. An L3Out can span across multiple nodes in the fabric. All nodes used by the L3Out can be included in a single node profile and is required for nodes that are part of VPC pair. So it's required to have the VPC pair nodes in one single node profile, okay? Interface profiles can include multiple interfaces. When configuring dual stack interfaces, a separate interface profile is required for IP version 4 and IP version 6 configuration. That is automatically taken care by this wizard. Okay. So here we have to provide the node profile name. If you check the use defaults here checkbox, the wizard will provide the default naming convention. Like here, I didn't change the default name here. It's the L3Out name, which is L3Out-1, then underscore node profile, okay? This applies to the interface profile as well here. This is the default interface profile name. If you check this one, you will not see the fields here to provide the names, okay? It will use the default naming convention, okay? Also, please note that we cannot create more than one node profile from this wizard. To do that, we have to go back again to the node profiles after creating the L3Out and create a new node profile from there. So from this wizard, you can create only one node profile, as you can see here, okay? Then we need to select the interface type, as we mentioned in the interface types lecture. Then select the border leaf node ID and configure the router ID. Also, optionally, the loopback address. We typically configure the loopback addresses when we deploy BGP using the loopback addresses, okay? You can click plus sign to add more border leaf nodes. Then we select the border leaf interface, which we already configured its access policies in step 1, right? So Ethernet 1/1 here should have the access policies configured, the policy groups, the AAP, the L3 domain, everything, okay? Then specify the interface profile name. As I mentioned, this one here is the default name. Then configure the MTU value, the maximum transmission unit in bytes for the sub-interface, routed interface, or SVI. This may need to be adjusted depending on the routing protocol, since the default inherit means the APIC configures the interface with the ACI default MTU of 9000 bytes. You can find the default MTU value for the control plane traffic under System Settings, Control Plane MTU, and by default it's 9000 bytes. Most router interfaces do not use jumbo frames as a default, and routing protocols such as OSPF and EIGRP do not establish peering correctly unless the MTU values between the router interfaces match. So you have to take care on this one. Then we need to configure the interface IP address, which will be used to establish the neighboring. So it has to be on the same subnet as the other end, I mean the external router. This is a routing protocol requirement. It's not an ACI related thing, okay? Click on the plus sign to add more interfaces for the same border leaf node. So I mean, if you want another interface like Ethernet 1/2 under leaf 1, you have to click this plus sign, okay? So this one for adding more interfaces and this one for adding more border leaf nodes. Okay, after you finish, click next. Step 5, create a protocol interface policy if required. For example, here, create OSPF interface policy to use point-to-point OSPF network type. Please note that these options are OSPF standard settings. They are not ACI related. Okay? Then we move to the next step, step 6, create the external EPG. The L3Out network or external EPG is used for traffic classification, contract associations, and route control policies. Classification is matching external networks to this EPG for applying contracts. Route control policies are used for filtering dynamic routes exchanged between the ACI fabric and the external devices, and leaked into other VRFs in the fabric. So we need the external EPG to classify the external traffic. We have to provide the name for the external EPG, then specify the provided and consumed contracts. Here I use contract 1 as consumed and provided contract. If we check the default EPG for all external networks checkbox option, a default 0.0.00/0 route will be created in the subnets, and it will have the external subnets for external EPG scope configured, as you can see here. Okay? So if you check this one, you will not see the subnets tab, but you will have this configured under the subnets later. Okay? That means the received external traffic from this L3Out connection will be classified under the external EPG, in our case here, external_EPG-1. However, sometimes we may need to classify the external traffic into several external EPGs in order to enforce different security policies or contracts according to the external subnets. Okay? In that case, we should create specific subnets for the external EPG. And to do that, click on the plus sign here and move to the Create Subnet page. In the Create Subnet page, we must provide the prefix and the prefix length or subnet mask. Here we have 150.0.0.0, the prefix, and /24, the subnet mask or the prefix length. Optionally, we can provide a descriptive name for the external subnet. The route control options are used for filtering external routes advertised out of the ACI fabric, allowing external routes into the fabric, or leaking routes to other VRFs within the fabric. I will get back to talk about the route control options later in the upcoming lectures. This is not the correct time to mention these details. At this stage, we need to ensure that the external subnets for external EPG option is checked, which is checked by default. That's important to identify the external networks associated with the external EPG for policy enforcement or applying contracts. Okay? Then we move to step 7, which is associate the L3Out to the bridge domain. Navigate to the bridge domain, then click the Policy tab, then L3 Configurations. Scroll down to the Associate L3Outs, click plus sign, then select the L3Out name. Click Update and move to the next step. Step number 8, set the BD subnet to advertise externally. Navigate to the bridge domain subnet that you want to advertise outside the ACI fabric. Then check the Advertised Externally scope option. Click Submit and move to the next step. Step number 9, the final step, use contracts in the application EPGs or the internal EPGs. We have to use the contract used previously in the external EPG here in the application EPG, whether consume, provide, or both consume and provide. This step is important to allow communication between the internal endpoints and the external subnets. So here we have contract 1, which we already used in the external EPG. Okay? That means we expect to have an allowed communication according to contract 1 between endpoints under EPGA and external devices that are classified under external EPG1, which has the 150.0.0.0/24 subnet. Okay? So these are the main steps we need to take to deploy the L3Out in ACI. That's the end of this lecture. I hope it was a good summary for the L3Out configuration. Thanks for watching.